possibly a good resource for you to learn more about how you can use art as a way to manage your chronic pain. And if you're somebody who is just here as a support person for someone with chronic migraine, this can also be really helpful for you, because there's a lot of ways that the arts can really improve our well-being and healing overall. And so we've prepared a number of polls just to get us started. We'd like to know a little bit more about who's joining us today. So Helen, would you be able to run those initial polls that we had set up? The first one, I think, is just kind of a sense of who's with us. You know, who of you has migraine or headache disease? And they're coming up for me too. And, you know, or are you somebody who is a caregiver or support person for folks with chronic migraine? The next question is, have you ever used creativity, creative expression, artwork in a way that was healing for you to help you manage your pain or otherwise? And then we're asking, this is kind of a little experiment, but we'd like to measure if you are experiencing pain today, what your level of pain is right now. And we're gonna test that at the beginning, and then at the end, we're gonna see if maybe doing some art making today might help your pain in some way. So yeah, that's a little bit, oh look, we got some results. Oh, wow, okay, so 90% of the people on this call today have chronic migraine or migraine headaches. Okay, wow, so yeah, this is going to be really interesting. So I'll share a little bit about art therapy, a little bit about what the research is saying with migraine and art therapy. And then we'll do sort of a mindfulness meditation exercise to kind of lead us into our experiential. And we'll do a small art warm-up, and then we'll do a little bit of a longer art process. I mean, we only have about 40 minutes today total, so and will the time be shortened at all? Because I know we were running a little late. No? Okay, so we can go a little longer. So we'll take about 10 minutes for you to engage in a longer art experiential today. Usually in a typical art therapy session, I give people a little more time, and it's handled a little differently, but you know, because we're doing this through Zoom, we have to get creative and structure ourselves a little differently. And then I'm going to open it up for questions. If you guys, you know, want to consult with me at all about how art can be used in this way, then we can talk more about that. And then, okay, here we go. Okay, caregivers. Okay, let's see how many caregivers we have out there. I think that poll just went out. Okay. Let's get started. Okay, so a little bit about art therapy. Oh, wow. Okay, so hold on one second. So the poll just came up, and 38% of individuals have a family member or provide care for someone with migraine headaches, and 62% do not have a family member with migraine headaches. Okay. So as the polls come in, I'll just continue to update y'all. I'm not sure, can everyone see the polls, or can I just see the polls?
Everyone can see the results.
Okay,
everyone can see the questions and the results.
Okay. This is all new for all of us, right? Okay, so just to get started, a little bit about art therapy. So art therapy is about using the creative process for therapeutic benefit. It's really not about creating art that looks perfect, that, you know, needs to go in a museum, that, you know, art that you're trying to sell in any way or get any other kind of gain out of. It's really just about creating artwork for your own self-expression. You know, throughout history, humans have used creative expression way back to the caveman days, right? We see cave paintings on the wall, and it's really like a human instinct to create. And I think that a lot of times we forget that, you know, if we're told in grade school, or, you know, as we're growing up, oh, you're not really creative, or you're not an artist, right? And maybe we get reinforced, or it gets reinforced to us that we're better at sports, or we're better at, you know, math, or just other kinds of things, and we're not really encouraged maybe creatively, and which is really a shame. And everybody is creative, and, you know, we can all benefit from this and utilize this. So really, that's the mantra of art therapists. Art therapy is facilitated by a professional art therapist. So this is somebody with at least a master's level education or higher, and credentialed as, you know, board certified art therapist. Oftentimes, art therapists can be psychotherapeutic counselors too, professional counselors. I'm a professional counselor. You know, so that's not a requirement for being an art therapist, but oftentimes art therapists do have that extra piece of being able to provide clinical counseling. There are both clinical and community-oriented goals that can exist for art therapy. So clinical goals would be more handled by professionals that have the art therapy and the mental health counseling piece. So this is somebody that you would go to receive a psychotherapeutic service. But also art therapists work in the community, which is kind of a little bit more of the style that we're working from today. This is really just for community health and to improve well-being for everyone. So this isn't really like a clinical art therapy session, you know, where we're too worried about meeting a very specific mental health related goal, but this is just for you guys to explore and kind of learn more, get some information. And then I've listed here, these are some of the goals that, you know, we often work on in art therapy, you know, improving cognitive and sensory motor functioning, self-esteem and self-awareness, emotional resilience, being able to express yourself, develop insight. And then the biggest one for folks today is probably reducing emotional and physiological distress. And, you know, as we know with migraine, with any kind of chronic pain, there's often a lot of depression and anxiety and mental health problems that can come up. And so we're looking at reducing physiological distress, so the pain that you're actually feeling, physical pain, but also how can it help your anxiety? How can it help your depression? Okay, and so this is a little overview of some studies. Oh, another poll just came up. Okay, so it looks like 58% of people have experienced the use of a creative outlet as part of their plan. That's awesome. And 42% haven't. So yeah, so you're gonna get some information today. All right, so okay, the study by Shella. So there was a study in 2018 and it looked at 195 patients. And in those patients, there were significant improvements in their pain, their mood, and their anxiety. And these were all people that suffered with chronic pain, not necessarily migraine, but had some form of pain and were hospitalized for it, received a lot of different treatment. And after participating in art therapy, they noticed a lot of improvement, pain, mood, and anxiety. So those three. And what was interesting is that this was regardless of age, gender, or diagnosis. So across the board, there were improvements, which is pretty significant. That was a big sample size too of people. And then this was another study that was done, smaller study. It looked at teens, and it looked at 8 teen girls and tracked them over a period of a few weeks. And there was a dramatic improvement in their headaches. They had less headaches, significantly less headaches, when they participated in a combination of mindfulness and art therapy twice a week. So again, that's why today we're going to be integrating the mindfulness, just because that's been shown to be a helpful complement to art therapy. And then there was another study that was done on, you know, a variety of treatments for chronic headache sufferers, and it was shown that complementary art therapy provides an improvement in overall treatment outcomes. So art therapy added to your treatment regimen right now, you could notice more improvement than you would without having some form of creativity. So that's kind of interesting stuff right there. And then here we have, this is more anecdotal kind of evidence from art therapists and artists and what people generally tend to say when they create art. Who, you know, people who have migraine. Excuse me. So that, you know, there was an art therapist that said in her observations with patients, it decreases physical pain along with the migraine. That's what patients have reported. Another art therapist, Skirpin, who works at Mass General Hospital in Boston, talked about how it doesn't replace the need for medication, but it can really focus your mental attention away from the pain. So it serves as a form of distraction, but it's not just a distraction, right? Because then you get to figure out how to express the pain in a different way. So it's a distraction from the physical pain, but also an outlet for the emotional and physical experience of the pain. So that's a really important piece. And then, you know, it can help reclaim ownership and sense of control over your life. You know, maybe chronic pain has just destroyed your life, and you know, you're struggling with trying to find your sense of self again. trying to have some agency and control over your life. And, you know, this was actually some work that was done by an art therapist that has migraine. So he's done a lot of personal research on himself and, you know, and with his clients around that. And so that's one thing that he observed. And this is an artist, you know, it expresses what the pain looks and feels like when words are not enough, right? And I wanted to share this with you all. An artist named, I'm going to butcher this, Riddhi Parekh. And this was a painting done by the artist. And as you can see, you know, in this painting, this person does have migraine. And, you know, it's not really about being perfect, right? It's about doing something that, you know, feels right for you. And so you notice like there's some scribbles. It's kind of like a real, almost like amateur looking form of a person, right? So it's about like letting go of that inner criticism that you might feel towards making art and just really allowing yourself to open to that process. So we can read this too. This was said by the artist. I was inspired to capture my experiences with chronic daily headaches and migraine as a last-ditch attempt to finally be able to explain my invisible illness and create a tangible visual representation of my pain through my artwork. And they called this piece Atomic Headaches. It depicts how chronic illness can go nuclear on your life and destroy your health, relations, dreams, personal life. It's all happening inside where no one else can see. So I think that's part of it. It's this experience that no one can see, right? Feels like an invisible illness, but you know, the artwork can make it external for people. So really important to keep that in mind. And as we move into kind of the next portion here, these are some things to keep in mind. So at this time, it would be a good idea for folks to make sure that they have some art materials available. It really doesn't matter. You can have any art materials you can find in your house. I mean, even a ballpoint pen and paper, right? You know, if you have paints, if you have pastels, markers, colored pencils, you know, but the point of this really isn't about finding, you know, these really fancy, perfect materials. It's about kind of using what you have, creatively adapting, and allowing your own energy to flow through the art materials naturally, you know, so whatever it is. You know, a lot of us might have, when we were growing up in school, doodled on the sides of our margins, right? Little pictures and things like that. You know, that's creativity too. I made some of my best artwork in the margins of the pages of my math classes. So, you know, again, it's really what you're comfortable with. A little piece about the materials too is that there's been a little research that certain art materials may aggravate migraine symptoms. So if you're someone who suffers from migraine, I want you to think about the materials that you've selected today as you're working with them. Notice if there's anything about them that is pleasant for you and anything about them that is unpleasant or maybe aggravating your pain in some way. Because, you know, certain materials like the smell of certain paints, right? Or maybe the sound of the marker on the paper can kind of make, you know, it just kind of, not a good feeling, right? Maybe certain colors can trigger you. Maybe looking at the color yellow is just too bright and it hurts to look at that. And so we want to focus on creating an experience for yourself that is self-soothing. You know, so really focus on what materials are going to feel good, and be open to that. And if, you know, you don't like something, you don't have to use it. This is entirely up to you and what works for you. Okay, and it's a time to experiment with materials. So, you know, you're going to explore things today. There's no right or wrong way to create art, you know, and everybody has the ability to be creative, like we talked about. We talked about inner criticism, and what we really want to do is almost pretend that you're a child. You know, we want to get back to being playful. We want to get back to just having fun, you know, and pretending like, you know, the outcome doesn't matter. And one of the last things is no expectations, just invitations. So as we go through this, I'm going to be inviting you to try out different things. If any of it feels uncomfortable or you're just not feeling it, that's okay. It's just an invitation, right? There's no expectation that you have to do any of the things I'm asking you to do. You can always tailor it to suit your own needs better, you know? So if we're doing like a little meditation part and it just doesn't feel comfortable for you, maybe you can start drawing yourself, at that time, so it's okay. And last thing, this is also another art therapist mantra, is trust the process, right? So we're looking at the creative process and not the product that we're creating. Okay, so I guess, if people, I don't know what the chat's looking like at this point, if there are any questions coming in, or if people are just kind of listening, but if there's any questions that have come in, I can take a few of them.
Just looking right now, they mentioned that photography is a good outlet as well.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I work with a lot of my clients about the use of photography, actually, helping self-portrait photography too, helping with self-esteem and just how you view yourself, and or even finding things in the environment to take photos of that could be a reflection of how you're feeling. So photography is a very powerful medium. It's really neat to hear about what people use for their mediums of choice.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Like to think of making the pain experience external.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful thing. And even in the live workshops that I've run with Miles for Migraine, that's been a big piece. Is we've explored what the pain looks like, and people in the group were able to connect about what that experience felt like for them, and they didn't have to explain it verbally, right? It's because it's such a felt experience and so individualized that you can just show your piece, and then everyone says, wow, I get that. I feel that from you.
Yeah. And let me see. Someone said there are many wonderful artists doing live drawings along on Instagram right now. This has been a fun way for my kids and I to deal with a stressful time together.
Yeah.
Definitely a kind of art therapy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Social media, we should take advantage of that, right? There's so many great artists out there that are also focused on self-care, exploring, wellness, and maybe they're not credentialed as art therapists, but they're doing a lot of good work too. And it's getting into our mainstream culture, which is the goal. We want, one of my goals, in doing this work is to just normalize this experience for people. I want everybody to be able to be creative in their own way. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, there's so many people right now coming out, you're right, in the media doing new things because of the new way we're living right now, right?
Right. That's another piece of it too, and in thinking about this workshop today, I really wanted it to be centered around self-care, because I think we all need that right now.
Right.
This is an unprecedented time, from a mental health perspective. Many of us have never experienced a trauma that's this significant on a global level, and we really don't know what the impact of that's going to be long term. And so it's even hard for mental health professionals right now to know what kind of advice to give, because we're all in this together, and we're all kind of experiencing this for the first time. So I think especially during this time, it's important to be gentle with yourself and do what makes you feel good. No pressure to clean out the sheds and closets and do all the laundry that's been building up, and you're like, okay, I'm in quarantine now, I have to get it done today, all of it, or else I'm terrible. I'm not doing enough. Really try to let go of that for yourself, just as an aside to this. And it's something that I really think is important.
So funny. My daughter said today, hey, it's a great way to clean out the garage. And I said, go for it. I'm going to be on my San Francisco educational day all day, so have fun.
Yeah, and for everyone on the call, good for you for showing up today and letting this be a part of your day. I think it's wonderful. I mean, thank you to Miles for Migraine for putting this on, and it's just wonderful that you're able to do that for yourself today and get a little bit more information and self-care time. And it's really an honor to be able to be here. So we're going to do a little bit of a meditation now. And I have my husband here with me. He's actually a music therapist in training. You want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
That's Jordan. And he's gonna play a little bit of music for us while we're doing the meditation. And it's just going to take a few minutes. Again, have your art materials handy, have paper and some materials ready to work with, because the meditation is going to lead us into our creative warm-up. Okay, so I want to find a place to kind of just feel comfortable. Somebody needs to mute their microphone. Okay, and so just, find a place to settle in and close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or find a place in the room to kind of gaze onto that's comfortable, and just notice your breath coming in and out of your body. Notice the cadence of your breathing just as it comes in and out of your body. No need to breathe any different way, just allow it to happen naturally. And notice your body being supported by the chair that you're in. Maybe it feels comforting on your back. You can notice that your feet, how they feel on the floor, or if you have them resting somewhere, and how that feels for you. And now notice any areas of physical pain that you may be experiencing. Maybe it's some tension in your shoulders. Maybe you're having migraine right now. Maybe you feel okay. Perhaps there's an area in your body that feels pleasant right now. Just really allow yourself to be embodied here. And now focus on taking a deeper breath this time from the deepest part of your belly. And hold it for a moment. And exhale extremely slowly, allowing your body to relax on that exhale. And then do another breath for yourself. Breathing in, allowing your lungs to fill up. Holding that breath for a moment. Then exhaling any tension that you feel. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the room a bit and notice your art materials that are there. And you can take your paper and choose any material. Maybe just choose whatever color you're drawn to right now, just to start with. Or maybe it's not a color and it's black and white. Choose something for yourself. And what I want you to do is to take whatever material you have and put it in your non-dominant hand. So your left hand if you're a righty, okay, right hand if you're a lefty. And I want you to just make scribbles on the page, just kind of for fun. Just don't think about it. Just allow yourself to really just make whatever your hand wants to do. And follow the direction of your hand. And now switch to your dominant hand and do the same thing. Any kind of lines or marks or scribbles. Maybe they're fast, maybe they're slow. It's whatever feels right for you. And then pick a shape, any shape, triangle, square, circle, and draw that shape repeatedly on the paper. It could be big, small, could take up the whole page or little tiny area of the page. Okay. And now, just for a moment or so, using whatever other materials you have, look at your piece that you're working on, right? It's really abstract. And as you look at it, just what colors and lines or shapes do you feel need to be added to it? Just kind of a silly question, but just you go intuitively. Don't think too much about it. Maybe some blue. Okay, so take just another moment or so. Okay. So, if you're done, you should have something that looks kind of silly. Something like this, maybe. So, that's just a little warm up for us, and that may have been really out of your comfort zone. And I appreciate you being able to try that, right? Because it really, using the non-dominant hand sometimes helps us use the opposite side of our brain, right? We usually think in a very linear way. We're used to doing that all day long with work or planning any kinds of functioning activities that we have to do. Usually use that logical part of our brain, but by using the non-dominant hand, it frees up the right side of our brain to be able to engage in creativity a little bit. So thanks for bearing with me with that silliness. So now, and I know we probably don't have, how much more time do we have? How much more time do we have? Is it there like 10 minutes left or so, 15 minutes?
Jen, I think the session is supposed to go until 12:20 is what I see on the schedule.
Okay.
Maybe Helen and Katie can confirm, but of course that's up to them in terms of the time schedule.
Oh,
We're starting a little late, so do we want to, is it okay to go a little later, or should we still end at the same time? What do we want to do?
about 3:20. I don't.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that's 5 minutes?
So let's go for 10 minutes. How much time do you need, Jen?
Yep.
We can just do a little bit more, maybe?
Yeah, let's do it.
I would say 10 more minutes is fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, let's just do a quick kind of, and then again, this is really going to challenge everybody because we're moving quick here. We're going to just create quickly, so it's going to require you to just do something in the moment, right? Okay, so now for a little bit of a longer experiential, so maybe about 5 minutes or so, I want you to focus on one of these two elements. So if you're somebody that is feeling, like you have a migraine right now, or you're feeling any kind of pain, or something you'd like to explore, the second option is to create a visual representation of what the experience of migraine looks like for you. So create your pain, draw your pain. And then the top one is create a visual representation of something that brings you joy or comfort, peace of mind. So you can kind of choose which feels right for you. Okay, so we'll take a few minutes and work on this, and then we'll just leave a few minutes for some questions. Okay. Just take another moment or so to create.
Jen, someone mentioned that they like to make collages, that they really get into the subconscious when they do that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so find a good stopping space, and it may not be in a place where you feel finished, right? And this might be something you might want to work on a little bit throughout the day or the weekend if you have a chance. But yes, to comment on what that individual had said, collaging is excellent, and that's a great outlet as well. So if that's the medium that you're feeling comfortable working in, selecting images and words that relate to something you're experiencing and being able to put that together can really help us to kind of reflect and think about ourselves and what we're experiencing. So yeah, I mean, at this point, we can kind of, look at questions. I know we were thinking about maybe having people hold up something that they made today, so we could get a good Zoom snapshot of it. And I'm not quite sure how to facilitate that, but we could do something like that.
We would love if everybody would turn on their video and put it on gallery view and hold up their picture if they would like to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of my screen share so I can see everybody's work. So Wow. Awesome. These are some great pieces.
That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is incredible. Wow, that's really cool to see everybody's work. Wow, and you guys created in such a short time frame too. People are typically feeling so rushed, and it's hard, you know. I see some of you are in your studio spaces. This is great. I'm gonna go back to the screen share for a minute. And I just wanna share a few more things. Let me. Oh. Just a few more resources. So you'll find this, and we can send this PowerPoint to everyone so you have it. So the first one is just some ideas for art journaling prompts you can do at home. Second one is updates and ideas about different art therapy interventions and things you can try out. Third one is an art therapist locator. So if you're interested in doing art therapy with someone that lives close by to you, you can absolutely find some good art therapists at arttherapy.org. And there's the art therapist locator. And then I also offer telehealth art therapy services. So if you're ever interested in consulting with me, my email address is listed there, and you're welcome to contact me. And then I've also listed the references that I use throughout in case anybody's interested in reading more, a little bit about that. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I can take more questions. I can do whatever you guys need for now.